Do you need more time to file your taxes? These are the quickest and easiest ways to file for an extension. Hello and welcome to Practical Personal Finance, where you get the information you need to understand and succeed with money. If you're watching this video, chances are you need extra time to file your tax return. In the next few minutes, I'm going to explain what an extension is and what it does for you, the easiest way to file for an extension if you typically get a tax refund, and the easiest way to file for an extension if you typically owe the IRS. I've added some chapter markers throughout the video, so feel free to skip ahead to the part that's most relevant to you. And as a quick reminder, I am not a tax professional. I'm just a guy on YouTube. If you're feeling uneasy about this stuff, always consult with a CPA. With that said, let's start with a discussion about what an extension is and what it does for you. Filing for an extension on your taxes grants you additional time to submit your actual tax return documents to the IRS. If you do not file your tax return documents or file an extension by April 15th, you're going to get hit with a late filing penalty when you eventually do file your tax returns. In order to file for an extension, you need to use Form 4868. When you fill out this short form and send it in to the IRS, you're essentially saying, hey, I don't have my tax return documents completed yet, and I need some more time to get them done. As soon as you submit that form, your deadline to file your tax return forms is now October 15th instead of April 15th. There's no need to wait for any approvals or confirmations. Pretty nifty. But what most people don't understand is that although filing for an extension grants you extra time to submit your tax return documents, it does not grant you extra time to pay the IRS for taxes you owe. If there's one thing I hope you take away from this video, this is it. If you owe the IRS, the deadline to pay is April 15th, and that deadline is not changed when you file for an extension. If you owe additional taxes and do not pay them by April 15th, regardless of whether you file for an extension or not, you're going to get hit with a late payment penalty and interest fees when you eventually do pony up that cash. The only penalty that an extension can help you avoid is the late filing penalty I mentioned earlier. If it's already past April 15th, don't bother filing an extension. Just file your tax return as soon as possible. So when is it a good idea to file for an extension? I'd suggest doing so only if it's absolutely necessary. Maybe you need some more time to get things organized. Maybe you still haven't received a W-2 form from your employer. Or maybe you've procrastinated and now it's the second week of April and you're overwhelmed and you just need more time. Don't worry, I've been there too. In any of those situations, go ahead and file for the extension. But if I were you, I would still try to get my taxes done as soon as possible. If you're due a refund, the longer you wait to file, the longer the IRS gets to hang on to your money. On the flip side, if you're trying to avoid paying taxes, remember that filing an extension does not grant you additional time to pay. If you can get your tax returns done but just don't have the money to cover your tax bill, don't waste your time filing an extension. Just file your tax returns and get to work on a plan to pay the IRS what you owe. The faster you get your tax bill paid, the less you'll need to pay in interest fees and late payment penalties. And if that's the problem you're facing, an extension is not a viable solution. Next, I'm going to talk about the easiest ways to file for an extension if you typically receive a refund and if you typically owe the IRS. If you're enjoying this video so far and you're getting some value out of it, give it a thumbs up and consider supporting my channel by becoming a subscriber. Doing so helps me continue to produce useful educational content just like this. Thanks. Alright, so let's talk about actually filing the extension. As with anything tax related, you can always download the forms from the IRS website. Read the instructions carefully, fill them out by hand, and mail them in. But there are risks with doing it that way. You might misinterpret the instructions. You could miscalculate or enter information into the wrong box. And even if you manage to do everything right, it could still get lost in the mail. Thankfully, there are some easy ways to file for an extension online for the low price of $0. If you typically receive a tax refund every year and not much has changed about your situation, It's generally safe to assume you're going to receive a tax refund this year as well. And if that's the case, here's how you can easily file for an extension. Head on over to freetaxusa.com and under Products and Pricing, select Tax Extensions. I'll leave a link directly to this page down below. Click Start a Free Extension and then create and log in to an account. Click on Begin Your 2020 Extension. Read the extension filing information and then click Continue. We come to a screen that asks you about why you're filing an extension. If you select one of the options about needing more time to pay your taxes, you'll be able to continue, but not before being notified that, as I've mentioned several times, filing an extension does not grant you more time to pay your tax bill. On the next screen, you'll enter some personal information like your first and last name, your social security number, and your address. Then you're asked for your filing status. If you select Married Filing Jointly, you'll be asked for some personal information about your spouse as well. Let's keep things simple and pretend I'm single. The next screen asks whether or not you're a tax professional. If you're watching this video, I'm going to assume you're not. Then you're asked whether you expect to receive a refund or whether you expect to owe the IRS. In a few minutes, I'll show you an even easier way to file for an extension if you expect to owe the IRS. Assuming you expect a refund, click Save and Continue. Now you're asked to estimate how much of a refund you expect to receive. If you typically receive a refund, just use last year's refund amount. If you normally get a refund but your situation has changed, go ahead and enter 0. Next, it asks for your estimated total tax payments for 2020. Get out your W-2 form from your employer and look in box 2 for federal income tax withheld. Enter that number. And if you've got multiple W-2 forms, make sure you add up box 2 from each form. From here on out, the process should be pretty self-explanatory. Depending on what state you live in, you might need to fill out some additional information, but in the end, you'll be able to file your extension electronically. Congratulations! You now have until October 15th to submit your tax return documents without incurring a late filing penalty. What about if you need to file an extension, but you believe you may owe the IRS? Well, apart from having to pay Uncle Sam, I've got some good news for you. Filing your extension just got easier. All you need to do is submit an electronic payment to the IRS through their website and let them know that the payment is for an extension. If you do this, you no longer need to file Form 4868. You're all set. To submit your payment, head on over to the official IRS website, irs.gov, and on the Pay tab, select Bank Account Direct Pay. From here, if you're even the slightest bit skeptical about trusting a stranger on the internet who's saying you don't have to file Form 4868 if you use this method, go ahead and click on Types of Payments and then scroll down to where it says Extension. Note that it clearly states, use IRS Direct Pay to make a full or partial payment on your taxes in order to receive an extension without having to file Form 4868. There you go. Back one page where it says Direct Pay with Bank Account, click on Make a Payment. Under Reason for Payment, select Extension. The other fields should auto-populate. Click Continue. Now you need to verify your identity by entering some information from a previous year's tax return, including your filing status, name, social security number, date of birth, and address. Click Continue. Next, you're asked for the payment amount, the payment date, and your bank account information. With the payment amount, you generally want to err on the side of paying too much rather than too little. This way you'll avoid those late payment penalties and interest fees. Use the amount you've owed in previous years as a guide for the amount. And make sure your payment date is on or before April 15th. That's the due date. If you'd like to get an email receipt, go ahead and enter your email address now as well. After that, you'll just need to sign electronically and you're good to go. Nice work. You're all paid up and you now have until October 15th to file your tax return. Technically, you can use the IRS Direct Pay method even if you're getting a refund. Just go through the process and when you're asked to enter a payment amount, enter something nominal like $1 or even 1 cent. It's not going to really cost you anything and you might find it easier than signing up for an account with Free Tax USA. On that note, There are other websites that allow you to e-file an extension, but I chose Free Tax USA for this video because I'm familiar with the software, having used it before. Let me know if there are any others I should take a look at. So which method are you going to use? Do you have any other questions about filing an extension? Leave a comment down below and I'll help you out. If you're feeling overwhelmed with filing your taxes, I made a video where I break it down and take you through the process step by step. Click right here to watch. And if you'd like to show your support for my channel, click right here to become a subscriber. As always, thanks for watching. I'm Andrew Scheer, and I'll see you next time.